What's up, Hoot World? Welcome to Frontrunner Podcast Collective. I am your humble host, Vince. It is Friday, March 21st, and we are officially 3 weeks out from the playoffs. I got notes on playoff pushes, storylines, breakdowns of how the Warriors quietly become a free throw machine. Kate Cunningham is running the post like 2004, and some of the under the radar guys on your favorite team wishes they had off the bench. So we have a lot to get into, but the first thing that I want to talk about is kind of what happened last night. So UCLA is playing the first tournament game, and I have games on the multi-view alt screens. I got Golden State and the Raptors, and they're doing their thing in the Chase Center. The big story from the game is the Curry back injury, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. I have updated news on that as well. It was gross sounding when Steph hit the floor. I mean, it sounded so sick. The thud was just ooh, and there was reports that Steph was trying to get back into that game. There were reports that he was looking to enter the game. And it just tells you what this means now. You know, we are in that point of the year. It's playoff time. We turn iron sharpens iron. We are trying to get there. So, now what struck me about the Warriors before that, as we have watched this Jimmy Butler infused Warriors team, is they quietly become violent. Like, they went from pass three to Jimmy Butler drawing contact like Shaq in a hoodie. We'll get into that. But here's the thing. Golden State has a lot of things going on, and we want to get into them, and there's a lot of positive stuff going on with them. But I also want to get into the Cade Cunningham of it all. The Pistons might not they might not get the home court advantage, but what they're doing this year and Cade's post up efficiency in particular is literally off the charts. He's making plays on the block like he's LeBron with Tim Duncan's footwork. So I don't know what to say about this kid right now. It's all positive. It's all the things that we loved about him when he came out of Oklahoma State. And it's so great to see him playing meaningful basketball games at this time of the year. And we're going to see him in postseason play, which is also going to be very intriguing. And I'm going to be focusing in on those matchups and seeing where Detroit basketball goes from here. It's going to be a really cool playoff season. So we need to go ahead and get surgical about what we need to do out here. So you know how we do it. We got segments. So the first segment is front running theory. Now, this is where we're going to talk about the Warriors' identity shift since the trading for Jimmy Butler. The Warriors are 16-3. That's not a typo. It's the best record in the NBA since the deadline. They've been top 5 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. And how they've been doing this is not by the three, not just by Steph Magic. They've completely flipped into a free throw factory. Before Butler arrived, Golden State ranked 27th in fouls drawn per possession. Since the trade, they're 4th. Okay, so they went from 27th to 4th since the Jimmy Butler trade. Kuminga's back too, drawing nearly 9 free throws per 36 minutes off the bench. That's elite downhill pressure. You know what we talk about here. All right? And if you're new to the program, welcome. Welcome to Front Runner Podcast Collective. We are so grateful that you are here. We are growing the audience. We are growing the community. And we'll get into those things in 1 second. But what we talk about here is this purposeful paint touches. Okay? You got to go out and attack the paint, get fouls, create other offensive actions. We all know what the game is now. It's a bunch of drive and kick. So when you're in this situation and you have a guy like this, and then you infuse Jonathan Kuminga into this situation, who was not there for 30 plus games. Now you have a downhill threat. It just brings more diversity to the offense. You know, that's a phrase, that's a verbiage that we use here on the podcast. But the thing that I want to continue to push is that you still have Steph, and he's run off 416 off-ball screens since Butler got there. More than anyone else in the league. The guy is turning defenses into anxiety machines, because you know as soon as Steph moves, the defense freaks out. Butler is seeing open mid-range lanes quite often in his time with the Golden State Warriors, because of the fact that just the gravity that Steph causes in that situation. So I personally think that they both have benefited from each other, obviously putting more pressure on the rim, and you have Steph Curry's still off-ball screens, the activity, the running around. He still has the best cardio in the game. This is what Butler isolate and attack one-on-one without help sliding over. Now check this out. Jimmy Butler right now in isolation scoring is 121.7 points per 100 possessions since joining the Warriors. That's not just elite, that's historic. The Warriors have flipped the script from lottery vibes in January to now being the hottest team in the league, and Butler came in and changed the culture overnight. I was really skeptical, when it came, because how Jimmy left, but I was never skeptical on the guy. And you put a challenge in front of Jimmy Butler, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get somebody who's going to have a bunch of tenacity. We have seen it in the playoffs. It is unfurled right in front of us on several occasions. He's done it to the Celtics. He's done it to the Knicks. He's done it to teams that they definitely punch above their weight when he was in Miami. Now, he wanted to be compensated for that. Riley didn't want to compensate him for that because he felt that Jimmy wasn't really being as attentive as he needed to be. And he thought that maybe Jimmy had lacked a little more motivation. And he thought by going into this year and having Jimmy out there as a lame duck would bring out the best in Jimmy. The problem is that he clearly did not read the tea leaves of the person that he had under his umbrella. Jimmy Butler is, I've said it before on this podcast, so go back and check the archive pods. They're gold. There's things in there that you definitely want to check out. But Jimmy is a self-made superstar. I'll say it again. And this is another thing about development that I also want to bring up, is that we get these guys and we're saying, oh, well, this is their shelf. This is what they're going to be. This is how it's going to be, and all of these things. And a lot of times it doesn't 100% come out to fruition, but, we can kind of tell the type and whatever. But every once in a while, somebody will break the mold. Jalen Brunson, right? Who saw that coming? Rick and Jalen. That's who saw that coming. So shout out to the Knicks getting Jalen Brunson be just an absolute star and a certified G. So you get people like this from time to time. Jimmy Butler was drafted 30th overall. Anybody who follows the NBA knows his story. But he started off basically as a defensive guy. He was long, he had activity, active hands, he garnered more minutes. He started to show, a secondary creator, next to D Rose. And he kind of built on that. Then the unfortunate injury to Derrick Rose happens, and they need somebody to fill in the 22 to 25 opportunities a night. But what they didn't know they were getting is like, hey, I can do this on 18 shots because I'm going to get to the foul line 10 times. And that's the legend of Jimmy Butler. And then we saw him go to Minnesota and try to instill some toughness. Thibodeau wanted to instill some toughness there. It kind of backfired because he looked at Andrew Wiggins. He looked at Karl Anthony Towns. Now, Karl Anthony Towns is kind of, he's changed the narrative around him. I hate that word too. We're going to get into that later. But he changed basically just the verbiage around him as this dude, whatever case may be, aloof, really makes stupid fouls and all that. But Andrew Wiggins really hasn't. He had that one glimpse in the NBA Finals, and we really haven't seen it. So Butler thought these dudes were soft. Let's just not even get it twisted. Butler thought these dudes were absolutely soft, and he wasn't having it. He was like, you're going to pay these guys, and you're not going to pay me? And I'm what drives winning here? Was he wrong? No. How he went about it has always been the issue with Jimmy. But you knew that going in. You had 3 stops along the way to know that Jimmy Butler was going to act out when you didn't give him the contract. We said it over and over. But now he's in Golden State. He has a carrot out in front of him, and it's nobody believes in this team. And now Butler has just wanted to feel a part of. Not saying not necessarily he didn't feel a part of in Miami. I'm not going to sit here and sully what Jimmy did in Miami for the Heat organization, the fans there. I'm sure that after all this stuff kind of blows over in a while, Jimmy will get his flowers in Miami. There's no doubt about that because he made chicken salad out of chicken shit a lot in Miami. So he has a carrot in front of his face. Golden State was basically they were teetering out of the play-in when he got there. Now they might mess around and get the 5th seed. So he's made an incredible difference. We see the pep in the step of Steph Curry until the injury, and we'll talk about that right now. Okay, I have news from Shams. Let me pull it up right here real quick. Okay. This is a post from Shams Charania, ESPN. MRI on Warriors star Stephen Curry. Pelvic area confirmed contusion, no structural damage. Sources tell ESPN. Curry is expected to miss the start of Golden State's 6-game road trip beginning Saturday in Atlanta as he receives treatment over the next few days. So, no structural damage. Good for the game. Good for Steph Curry. We're going to see deep threes in the playoffs, and we really are blessed to have that in our lives. So, good news on that front. But, incredible comeback. This team is going to be very dangerous in the playoffs because they have championship pedigree. They know how to get it done. There's nothing really they haven't seen. So we are in a situation where it's going to be very interesting. Very interesting. So speaking of very interesting, the Lakers, Luka, LeBron. Do we care about seeding? Do we not care about seeding? I don't know. But let's just give you what we do know. Since mid January, the Lakers have been the third best record in the league and the second best defense. They've been quietly cooking people. They've been holding teams to under 100 points on the regular. Like the last couple nights, no. But that is to be um that's to be expected coming off 6 games in 8 nights. Remember, they had a couple makeup games from the fires that we had here, and so that you had to schedule those games back in, and lo and behold, you have 6 games in 8 nights. So my guys are getting a couple days rest. I hope they are just sleeping right now. So, but the team itself has played phenomenal defense for a long period of time. Now LeBron is still managing that groin strain. Luka has a back injury. They're both prioritizing health. Now this is the reason why Luka was out for the Milwaukee game. And honestly, I get it. They're confident that they can beat anybody because basically when you've seen these two together, it has been magical. It has been breathtaking to watch. I had somebody who is close to me in my life as far as concerned. They said, "We'll see how you feel about Luka after a while," and I was like, "Okay." You know, I understand where people are coming from. If you're, tired of the antics or whatever case may be, it's him. It's you gotta take the good with the bad. You know, I will tell you as a long time Laker fan, I tell you all the time, I'm old, I'm washed, I'm 52, but I've seen it all. Seen Magic. I saw Kobe when he got drafted by Charlotte, and then the trade of Vlade Divac. I saw him turn into a superstar. The Shaq acquisition. Seen it all of it. But Luka being here, being the star that he is, they're looking at the playoffs and thinking, "Hey, we got LeBron. Okay, we got Luke. We got myself, Luka. We got Austin Reeves. I think we could do some damage in the playoffs." And we have seen Luka do things in the playoffs that were completely amazing. Check the Clipper series. Sorry, Clipper fans. I know that's a hard one for you guys to swallow because y'all have the better team. But Luka was undeniable. He was undeniable in that series, and he's not scared of anything, and he's just a daredevil, and he has a daredevil mentality. And he enjoys the theater, which is also important when it comes playoff time. JJ Redick and his staff have been rolling out game plan after game plan with defensive schemes that mimic playoff prep. And when they're healthy, they got the best duo in the league, period. I'm saying it now. And here's what I say about that. You could say, "Oh, this duo is a better scoring duo." You could say this duo is a better defensive duo. There's a lot of things you can say about other duos. We can pick nits all we want, but this is what I will say. Are there any other two guys that you feel more comfortable with the ball in their hands with less than 5 minutes to go and the game is still in the balance? That they're going to get you a good shot. That they're going to get you a really good look at the rim. LeBron is an absolute supercomputer, and we see Luka has that same type of cognitive ability when he's on the court. So beware of what the Lakers are bringing to you in this season. So there is that as well. Now, Denver, we got some red flags here. They're the team that I was worried about for the longest time, in the sense of we have to get through them. Somebody is going to have to beat them for us. Jokic is an issue. He's still an issue. There's nothing changed about Jokic. Don't worry about that. There will be no Nikola Jokic slander on this podcast ever. I grant you that. But they're 7-9 against West playoff teams. They still got Jokic, who is still unreal. If you look at some of the advanced metrics on this dude right now, he's having a better season than his MVP seasons. I understand that Shea is going to win the MVP, but we still know who the baddest man on the planet is when we talk about basketball, right? It's still that dude in Denver. Now, they match up great against Houston. This is the Nuggets. They match up great against Golden State. But we'll see against the Lakers or even the Timberwolves, because those two teams, it looks like they might have their number. Now, you can say, hey, Vince, I know you're a Laker fan. You're looking at it through purple and gold lenses. I might be, because I'm back on my game now. Lakers all day, but I still want to look through it with an analytical mind. I want to look at it as, okay, let's look at how these two teams are playing. If they do match up against one another in the playoffs, how both these teams playing at that time. I still think that the lack of depth on the bench for Denver is going to be a critical situation in these playoffs. I also believe that, unfortunately, I do love the Jokic Murray duo, but here's my problem with it. When you stack it up against LeBron and Luka, it's a little bit different proposition than just stacking it up against LeBron and Austin Reeves. No slander to Austin Reeves, because he's been cooking. He's been absolutely cooking. I love that kid. So here's the main question. If you're a Denver Nuggets fan, the Nuggets have Jokic, but I don't think they have the juice. Not right now. In the West, they might be a first round problem. Now you get to the second round. If you get to the second round. And this is not, like I said, this is not a Jokic issue. It's what's around him. Where is the offensive diversity around Jokic? Can they give him a blow, really? Because the on-off numbers say no. So, now, Nuggets fans, Mile High Basketball, you can hit me up on Blue Sky or on Twitter. You can hit me up at FrontRunnerPC on Twitter. You can hit me up at frontrunnerpc.bsky.social on Blue Sky. And just, hey, tell me what you think. Tell me what you're watching, on the court. Because what I'm seeing is that man is carrying them. And yes, he does have an injury that he's nursing. But I also think he just needed a blow. I think that he was just tired, and these 2 games off are super helpful to the load that Nikola Jokic is carrying. We are going to move along, though, because we need to get to our second segment, the baseline buzz. We need to come up with some music with this, Soraya. Write that down. We're going to need to come up with some music, like get a little change, little Probably can't take any Kendrick Lamar stuff, right? Okay. All right. Let's get to some buzz. We are a team that can't beat anyone and can be beaten by anyone. I'm going to read that quote again. We are a team that can beat anyone, but that can be beaten by anyone. And this is what Chris Finch of the Minnesota Timberwolves had to say about his team at this present time. It's a real statement. The Minnesota Timberwolves are basically our chaos team. This is the team that we have no idea. We're going to drop them in the middle of the playoffs. We're going to let Ant run around like, what's my guy's name? What's the Tasmanian Devil's name? I forgot his name. You know what I'm talking about. Looney Tunes. Go look it up. YouTube. So you're going to drop this team into the playoffs. And they could be dominant when dialed in. And then they can lose to a team like Washington at home. Shouts out to Alex Sarr, who's been balling lately. I want to give credit where credit is due. There were questions, a lot of them, about Alex Sarr. Alex Sarr is showing himself very well down the stretch, albeit we do know the March, April swoon situation and numbers sometimes get inflated, but it's good development to see Alex Sarr doing some of the things that he's able to do. The one thing is that we're going to have to see this kid put on some weight. Okay? We're going to need to see this kid do something, because here's an incredible number. Alex Sarr finishes at the rim at only 18% currently. So think about that. 18%. So 82% of his shots are three-pointers or mid-range or deep mid-range. It's a guy who right now is self-aware that he's not strong enough to go into the paint and handle the giants that are there. But also, hey man, we're going to need you to go up in there and bang with the big boys, so to speak. Now, here's a quote for you that you'll love. Only 24 guys have over 100 post-ups plays this year. Cade is not just one in that group. He's leading in efficiency. So check this out. With guys over 100 post-up plays this year, his efficiency per 100 is 126.8 points per 100. That's like Shaq levels, man. He is putting Shaq level post-ups together. His feet, his footwork is balletic, and his feet are sweet. Pause on that one. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to out nobody or whatever case may be. Now, he passes out of the post more than anyone at a 23% clip. Of those post-ups and in assists, Detroit is turning him into a low-block quarterback. Cade is throwing cross-court dimes, and he bully balling 6'4" guards on the block. Like he's watching some modern-day Andre Miller with KD vision. Come on, man. Like, this is getting really scary, because I've seen this so many times when I watch Detroit games. You'll get him on the left block. He will draw a double team. He will skip past it to the opposite corner, and that dude will be wide open for a three. And it's usually Malik Beasley. Shouts out to Malik Beasley, shooting at a torrid percent. I mean, he is shooting a torrid 3-point percent. I believe it's 46%. on the year. So that's getting it done. High volume as well. Couple other things in the bus. DeMar DeRozan, congratulations to Debo. Shouts out to our guy, USC legend. Gotta give him his props. Even though we are UCLA A clap all day, and we'll talk about that a little bit later at the close. But DeMar DeRozan dropped 25,000 points this week. Clap it up. Clap it up for our guy, DeMar. Say what you want about our mid-range assassin and the volume that he does from that particular range, because he is an absolute mid-range magician. That man is just a bucket getter. That's Top's 30th all time. And he's not even done yet, because he's still putting up plus 20. Now, defense, we staying in the positive. We celebrating DeMar DeRozan. DeMar, shouts out from Front Runner Podcast Collective, man, on 25,000 points. Two things. One, you put in incredible work to get that done. I know the diligence you have in your game, in your craft, my man, and I appreciate all the buckets you have brought us in the NBA. And by the way, I still remember a couple of those buckets you dropped when you were at USC and you dropped them on UCLA. I wasn't too appreciative of those buckets, but all the buckets you got in the NBA, we appreciate you and we salute you on going over 25,000 points. Now, let's get you some stuff, okay? Let's get you some things. We'll go deeper next week, but Yves Misi's rise has real implications to the 2025 NBA draft. Development curves like this, box out IQ, physical adjustments, are what front offices dream of. You talk about guys who learn fast. Misi has turned a raw tool set, because when he came in, there were three things. I said complete project when he came in the door. I was like, he's going to have to get bigger, meaning more stout. And I didn't think that he was going to be able. At Baylor, you saw the tools. You saw everything. I just thought it was going to take a second to click in. It didn't. All the reports out of New Orleans is that as soon as you tell him to do something, he can then translate it onto the court immediately. He got it. It's not even a question. That's impeccable. I want to give him his props. I just want to say that he's made a real impact in less than 3 months. So New Orleans might have found their big for the future. And if you think about it, it's basically the right thing to put around Zion if you're keeping Zion. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that if you were, this is the right guy to put around him. And I don't think it's necessarily easy to trade Zion, not just because of what he has done as far as missed games. I just think it's so hard to walk away from that talent. It's just so incredibly difficult to walk away from somebody that you know who can put up high 20 points per game. And when motivated, can rebound and be a weak side rim protector if he can keep habits under control. So, we'll see how it goes. That moves us to our next segment, which is Around the Arc. This is where we kind of bounce around the league and see what's going on and kind of give you a little taste of everything. So, here we go. We are going to start off with, we got chaos in the West. Everybody knows about the chaos. but I just want to bring you in and kind of specifically focus in on one little subsection of the West. And it's the Warriors, Clippers, and Wolves. They're all fighting for that sixth playoff spot, which means no plan, because nobody wants to play in the plan. The Wolves, Clippers, and Warriors have been playing excellent basketball late. Like the Wolves, even though they keep losing to like crazy teams, they have been playing very well. They've been getting good contributions from Julius Randle, and Dante DiVincenzo has come back from injury, and he looks even spry. He looks like he's getting himself together as well. Do. Okay, so now the next thing that we need to get to is this Boston Celtics sell situation. As you know, Bill Chisholm of what is it, the Symphony Group, Symphony Technology Group, he bought the Boston Celtics for $6.1 billion with a B dollars. Now, people are scratching their head about this situation, and I'm gonna help you here. Why would somebody spend $6.1 billion on a team that doesn't own its own arena? Okay, there's two plausible reasons for this, and these are really the two reasons. One, Grossbeck's Irv, the father, who's 90. Let's keep this in. Let's bring some context into this. Irv, who's 90, he wanted to get his estate into, arranged before time runs out. Now, Wick did not want to sell the Celtics, but his dad was like, yo, we got to sell them because there's other kids other than you. And I want all my affairs taken care of before I check out. I mean, it's a logical point. I understand. Well, all we've heard this year is Wick has been brokenhearted about not being the primary owner of the Celtics. Now, he has followed his father's wishes. He's been the point man on this sale. Bill Chisholm came in. We'll get to Pagliola in a second. But Bill Chisholm comes in, brings his group in, who he's still formulating that group. There will be a Boston wing syndicate that will be part of that group. It looks like Wick Grossbeck might actually still be part of the group if you look at the contract. If you look at some of the fine print, it says that Wick stays on for 3 years. It says that he still is a front-facing member of the organization, so you'll see him, front court, on the court, front row seats, all that sort of thing, and probably just schooling Bill Chisholm to the game that is the NBA. So it seems like a pretty good deal for everybody. Here's the second reason. The NBA itself wanted the Boston Celtics to get to that price range. And the reason why is because we can start really actually saying the words expansion. We're going to have two teams. Seattle is one, Vegas is the other. They wanted that price tag at 6.1, so then the new franchises coming in, we're going to hit that number as well. We're going to need $6 billion for you to become a member of the NBA. So it's only big boy money. You can't get money from your cushions and your couch unless you're Warren Buffett. If you're Warren Buffett, you can probably go in your couch cushions and get the money. to own an expansion team, but nobody else can do that, right? Bezos. All right, there's a couple people, but you know what I'm saying, not us. We can't do that. But the price tag of the Celtics was super important to get to 6 because they wanted to make sure that the expansion teams, Vegas and Seattle, hit those prices. So then the 30 owners, which Bill Chisholm is now one of the new owners. So the $6.1 billion price tag really isn't 6.1 when you think about it. See, this is when you think wealth. Okay. Bill Chisholm knows, okay, if I buy in now, I'm going to be part of this deal when they do the expansion. So when they get the expansion fees, which will total about $12 billion, the NBA franchises themselves will split 1/3 of $12 billion. And that approximately comes out to $400 million per team. So Chisholm is looking at this like, yo, I got this at 5-7. Because I'm about to recoup this money pretty soon. Because I will believe that if not this postseason, maybe the start of the regular season, we'll start hearing about expansion. Like from Adam Silver. So a couple other things to get to here on Around the Arc. And I want to thank the audience again. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for following. If you are not following us, please follow us. Remember to give us a 5-star rating. And you can get Frontrunner Podcast Collective on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can get us on Audible. You can get us on any podcast platform of your liking. So please follow us. Please tell friends. And make sure that you turn on that notification so then you know when we download a podcast for you. You know, helpful hints here and there. Let's see. The next thing that we need to get to is that I want to talk about the Pistons a little bit. And I want to talk about the shooting that's going on there. You got Tobias Harris shooting well. I know a lot of people were down on Tobias about how he left Philadelphia and how it didn't seem like he was impactful, you know, to what his contract was. Where he is contractually slotted right now is kind of where he needs to be. And he's paying off big dividends in Detroit. The Cade explosion this year is because they have competency around Cade. When you have people like Tobias Harris, who are professional basketball players, who come and do their job every single day. Yes, in Philadelphia, they had a different standard because he was making $43 million. He is not making $43 million anymore, and he's not considered really one of the top 3 dudes on the team. So if he's giving you 14, he's giving you 16, it's what it should be. And he's doing it efficiently. He's grabbing rebounds. He's being 6'8". He's being big. He's doing all the things that he's supposed to do. So I want to shout out Malik Beasley also, who's shooting it incredibly well. I also want to shout out Jalen Duren because he had a terrible start to the season, and I was starting to wonder, did the whole James Wiseman, all these extra bigs for no apparent reason? Remember, Detroit had Marvin Bagley III as well. So I thought they really shot this Jalen Duren's development for a little while. And we all know about the Monty thing last year. We don't need to get into it anymore. But I am so glad to see his bounce back, his glow up, if you want to call it that. I am so glad to see it. And it's coming at the most opportune time, which we're heading into the playoffs. And what Detroit needs is a bouncy, rim protecting, uber athletic, uber energetic, physical big. Oh, just what Jalen Duren is. So shouts out to Jalen Duren as well. So we just talked about Jalen Duren getting his situation together. These guys are changing the game without changing the narrative. Role players may be valuable, maybe value plays, definitely. But this is part of the pie where we show love to the glue guys, the bench killers, the ones who win playoff series in May. So I want to talk about some guys who are under the radar. We talked about one of them in the last segment, and this is the segment before the close of the show, and it's the new segment, and we like to call this segment Off the Bounce. So these are like little quick hitters, things that maybe you need to pay more attention to, and we want to just basically shed light to them. So the first situation off this is Jarrett Allen of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Jarrett Allen's true shooting percentage is 72.3. His box plus minus is a positive 3.2. He's a top 10 center in impact, but because he's not scoring 20 points a night, no one talks about this cat. We talk about his afro, okay? Every once in a while, he'll get dunked on. You might see that on SportsCenter or on your social feeds or whatever the case may be. But Allen's not flashy. He's just a guy who makes your whole team work better. He'd be a monster in like Boston. He'd be a monster. Oh, in New York, could you imagine Jarrett Allen in New York right now? You think the Knicks wouldn't mind a Jarrett Allen? The Lakers would love a Jarrett Allen. A lob threat who could catch, who brings this kind of defensive just verve. Because his ability to move, his ability to kind of clean up messes, because Donovan Mitchell still has not grown. Darius Garland, to my knowledge, still has not grown. Darius Garland is 6'1". Donovan Mitchell is 6'2". Donovan Mitchell has long arms, but he's still 6'2". So having a guy like Jarrett Allen is so important to this team, whether they're running a single big set or a two big set. I also want to throw in some kudos to Kobe Altman for picking up DeAndre Hunter at the trade deadline. It was a sneaky good move for this reason and this reason only. That was a Boston Celtic move. That had nothing to do with anything else but the Boston Celtics, because they want to be able to take one of the bigs off the court and have a big size forward on that front line to go with Strus, to go with the other smaller wings that they have, the swings that they have as far as that's concerned, and still be able to rebound and still be able to defend at a high rate. So I want to go ahead and shout out Kobe Altman on that pickup. My salute to you, my guy. But bringing it back to Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen is super productive. He's super efficient. And he doesn't complain about lack of touches and how he just does all the dirty work. And I just want to give him love. Now, another guy on his team, and this guy made his national presence known on the Ryan Russillo podcast recently, and I want to show him some love because he also has a teammate that this podcast root for, and that's Sam Merrill. Sam Merrill is on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we love Sam Merrill here at Frontrunner Podcast Collective. Sam If this gets to you, we love to have you on the show. We think that you are nice. We love that you shoot it. We love that you have no fear. You like our guy in the WWE, Penta, cero miedo. You know what I'm saying? No fear. Love that. Love that, all that. But the guy who I really want to talk about right now is Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome has a assist percentage of 23.8. That's crazy. Quietly stabilizing Cleveland's second unit. Think Sean Livingston, but with a jumper. Right? And we're talking about Sean Livingston at Golden State. We're not talking about uber athletic Sean Livingston with the Clippers before the terrible knee injury. Ty Jerome is just a stud. He plays a cerebral brand of basketball. He is fearless about his shot. You can tell that this dude is in the gym a lot. I don't want to go with like the same cliche bullcrap that you hear all the time. Oh, well, he's a gym rat and, he's a coach's son and blah. Listen, Ty Jerome is nice. Okay? Ty Jerome got a bag. I love his hesitation dribble, the snatchbacks, being able to get into his step back three package. It's all good. So shouts out to our guy, Ty Jerome, who's shooting threes and playing a big role in Cleveland. Now, the next guy, we just talked about him, Jalen Duren of your Detroit basketball Pistons. His win share per 48 is .218. He's not developing. He's dominating. He's like 21. Can he drink? Do we know? Don't drink, dude. 8 years sober here. 30 years of alcoholic. Just, drink responsibly. That's what I'll tell you. You got to give Duren a lot of credit. We talked about it earlier about how he struggled early on this season. And actually, again, I want to bring up the point that we talked about this all last year. I didn't understand, even through, 2023 Summer League, when I saw other bigs out there on the court, I was like, why is Jalen Duren not on the court? Why is he not getting all these minutes? Why is he not allowed to just get the system? And little did we know at that time, there wasn't a system because Monty Williams was coming in. There was no system. Or as James Harden would say, I am the system. Shouts out to the Beard. The Beard is having a year. He is having I want to call it a renaissance, so to speak. He out here. He out here, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Real G's move in silence, so we're gonna keep it pushing. The next guy I want to show some love to is a team that we've been kind of harsh on, but Keon Ellis of the Sacramento Kings. His steal rate is crazy. He has a defensive box plus minus of positive 1.7. He gives off Herb Jones vibes, but on the guard side, he's a defensive swing, and he brings instant playoff value to any team that he's on. And I'm not trying to take him off Sacramento, so Kings fans like to beam, don't get at me. Okay, we good. But Keon Ellis kind of stepped into the role when Kevin Huerter, he was hurt. There were injuries, but also Kevin Huerter lost his way in Sacramento. Now, we started to see, I guess, some of those diminishing returns in Atlanta. I wanted to believe that, he just wasn't getting the ball in Atlanta. Personally, that's what I thought. But as time moved on, you could see that Herter was actually hurting the team. Now, I'm glad that he has a fresh start somewhere else, and I hope that he can get his career back on track because Kevin Herter can shoot the ball. But Keon Ellis absolutely took advantage of opportunity when it presented itself. He got a stranglehold of that starting position when Herter inevitably went out with a season-ending injury, but the defense, the ball pressure that he's able to apply, the shooting, which is, it's coming along. So it's all the things that you just want to sit there and just allow to marinate. But I'm gonna tell you right now, every playoff team is gonna wish they had Keon Ellis as their eighth man in round one. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's gonna want him. Everybody, because he's gonna be out there cooking yo dude and giving yo dude the blues if they make it into the playoffs. Now, the Boston Celtics have a guy on this list, and Peyton Pritchard of these guys has gotten a lot of love nationally. We are going to bring some attention to his 3-point average rate, which is 74%. Peyton Pritchard is doing it. That dude has no conscience when he comes into the game. 74% is outrageous, though. And here's the best part, man. How many of your bench players can sport a box plus minus overall of positive 2.7? So think of that. This is not Tatum. This is not Brown. This is not KP. This is not Derek White or Drew Holiday. This is Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard, who had to fight to become the sixth man. Peyton Pritchard, who had to fight to get minutes. Now he's spot starting, scoring 37, hitting 8 threes a game. He's doing it all. And this is the stuff that we saw when he was in Oregon. He's just one of those guys that really not just works at his craft, but his confidence in himself, in his ability, and what he's able to do. I believe that Peyton Pritchard believes that he is a starting point guard in this league, and he has that mentality. And he's like, I'm going to shove it down your throat every time you give me an opportunity. I am just going to just be as close to Steph Curry as I possibly can be. I'm not saying he's Steph. Okay? Calm down. I'm just saying he's going in with that mindset. He's a matchup problem for second units. The amount of depth that the Boston Celtics has right now is just filthy. And I wonder, as the new ownership takes over, it won't be the big guys that I'm worried about. It won't be the Jaylen Browns or the Jason Tatums. But I wonder, and stick this in the back of your head space for the summertime. Sam Hauser makes $10 million, which is it's a pretty modest salary in the NBA, right? I mean, he's making good money for what he does. I'm sure Sam is sitting there, hey, I'm in Boston. I'm coming off the bench. I shoot threes. People love me. I'm great. But what that actual money is costing Boston is something in upwards of like $77 million because of the luxury tax, because of the aprons, because of the apron penalties. So the guy that I want you to remember, because he had a big game last week, is Baylor Shireman. Now, you remember Baylor Shireman because March Madness is going on. He went off for Creighton, went off. Baylor Shireman is is a shooter. He's an absolute laser, and he gonna get it done. But he is going to be a inexpensive option when they move on from Sam Hauser in the summer. So I'm just letting you know, little friendly tip from Vince. It won't be the big pieces, but slowly and surely they are going to look for less expensive options to take over certain positions. Now, a big one, if it does happen, now I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but here's another one to look for. The growth of Peyton Pritchard, who we just talked about, does that lead to the exodus of one Drew Holiday? Could you replace Drew Holiday with Peyton Pritchard? It'll be different, right? Obviously, he's not the defensive player that Drew Holiday is. We're not going to sit here and try to tell you that he is. But I can definitely see that if they're starting to think a little more financially fiscal responsibility. No fan base ever wants to hear that, by the way. No, not one fan base wants to hear about you being financially responsible. We want you to be financially irrational. Sure, I want to pay my 6-man $18 to $22 million because you know why? He gets me buckets. That's why. That's why I want him. He gets me 20 points when I ask him, hey, 6-man, can you get me 20 points? He goes like this, sure enough, I got your 20 points. Do you need 6 more on top of that? This is what fans want. It's going to be a game of accounting in Boston over the next couple years. But I think the first casualty look to see is Sam Hauser, who is the absolute fan favorite in Boston. And Boston fans, I know y'all going to hate me. I lived there for 15 years. I get it. I know. Listen, I'm not your favorite son. I know. I'm not your favorite son. I left. I came home. I came back to the la, where it's beautiful every single day. But Sam Hauser might be the first casualty of what the new ownership is looking for. That leads us to a guy that we talked about earlier in the podcast, and that's Yves Missi. Yves Missi, before January 26th, he missed in box outs. He missed box out 22% of the time. Now he's down to just 7.1%. That's second best in the entire league. So think about this. Here's a guy who's 19 years of age, right? Hold on, let me grab a little water. Your boy's a little thirsty. And you don't need to hear bad quality audio. No. You're a good audience, so I want you to hear good audio. All right. So before January 26th, Yves Missi missed box out at a 22% clip. Now he's doing it only 7.1% of the time. He looks like a lockdown, like Jalen Duren already. He's out there just creating boards for people. You know what I'm saying? Like people getting rebounds. Even Zion is starting to rebound, which is awesome. And I'm going to give credit. I don't know what his situation is. I don't know what they're going to do at the end of the year just because of how the year went. But David Griffin, as far as a drafter is concerned, now have all the people reached their potential? No. But as far as a talent evaluator, a person who can look at talent and go, that will translate to our team And these are translatable skills that I see that will go ahead and be able to help us. He did that with Yves Missi. There was no way in hell I thought Yves Missi was going to get off the bench this year, and he's playing a significant role on that team. Now, albeit a lot of injuries happen, they're not very good. They're going to be in the lottery, but this dude is the shining jewel of their player development, and their staff their staff deserves a lot of credit for that, because he has come a long way in a really short period of time. And there's a lot of hours behind the scenes that we don't necessarily get to see. So shouts out to those anonymous player development guys that are doing it in New Orleans. Shouts out to you. We salute you here at Front Runner Podcast Collective. Work. Putting in work. We love it. So is Missi a steal? 100%. Because he's impacting the game in ways that Bam did in his early days. Clean screens, box out, vertical contests, lobs. He also he moves his feet. He gets out to the corner threes very well. He's a long wingspan, and he has some couple of offensive moves that I saw early in the season. And also, I also want to send out a shout out, because Joel Myers, who is the voice of the New Orleans Pelicans, is one of my favorite announcers, because Joel Myers used to be the voice of the UCLA Bruins. And UCLA won their first game in the tournament last night, absolutely annihilating the Utah State Aggies. We beat the crap out of the Aggies, took them out. We just, like an assassin. Okay? Oh, Adai Mara might. I hope the ankle's okay. But that dude, look, next year is going to be sick in Westwood. Adai Mara, 7'3", with offensive facilitating skills, also knows what to do, has fancy footwork around the basket. I love him, and I hope he is okay. I hope his ankle's okay. But shouts out to the Bruins. 8-clap to the Bruins for putting it down on Utah State last night. It made my night. It made it better. And it made this podcast better today. My mood is directly affected by what UCLA did last night. So we are all welcome. Thank you, UCLA. Love you. Mick Cronin, you my guy. You militant. You militant, but you my guy. All right, so what we going to be doing this weekend? A lot. We're going to be doing a lot this weekend. A lot of game prep, a lot of watching games. There's going to be some Laker games this weekend that we're going to need to get ourselves a hold of. Going to be staying on top of the Warriors, but, we need to continue to look at the Pistons. We need to continue to look at these teams that are in that playing range. We need to see what Minnesota is going to do. Like their coach said, we can beat anybody in the league, and then we can be beaten by anyone in the league. Don't have your weekend go like that. You know what I'm saying? Don't have your weekend be like, I can be a champion or I can end up in last place. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. Do not do that to yourself. But yeah, we're going to be watching a lot of March Madness, right? Because we got to stay on top of the prospects. Also, coming next week on frpc.podcastpage.io, we will be having 60 prospects. We have 45 now. We're going through the updates as we speak right now. The updates are being done. I have a person doing that. And we're just putting our mind melds together and coming up with this very, very complete. And I will tell you, I'm not blowing smoke right now. I'm giving you a tip. I believe that we have one of the most comprehensive draft evaluations on the web today. And it will be up to 60 sometime early next week. And I'll tell you when we get back on this pod next Tuesday. So, with that being said, the best part of you is you. You're phenomenal. You're great. So, surround yourself with greatness. Surround yourself with people who are supportive. Surround yourself with people who are uplifting. Now, when you have people like that in your life, make sure that you appreciate them. Make sure you acknowledge them. Now, if you're doing all of that and you're that complete of a person, God, you're still working on me. Please continue to work on me. But if you are that complete of a person, go out and do some good in this world. And we will see you back on this feed Tuesday. And we will have a lot to talk about. I'm sure there's going to be amazing plays. I'm sure there's going to be fantastic dunks. There's going to be outstanding performances. There might be a couple duds in there that we might have to roast a couple people. Shouts out to our guy, CJ McCollum. Hey, Tuesday was love, dude. It was love. Shoot or shoot. 1 of 15. We ain't going to kill you anymore. Shoot or shoot. Just keep shooting. It's all good. All right. So for my producer and producer extraordinaire, Soraya, for all the help behind the scenes, and also for the audience, and let's talk about this before we go. Social media. If there's anything that we talked about, the Lakers situation, we talked about Golden State. Do you agree with some of the comments that I made here today? Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on Blue Sky. We also have a YouTube page, FRPC NBA Lounge. Go there. Vote on the polls. There's going to be new videos coming up this weekend. No doubt. Because I'll be putting them up. And also, make sure that you go to the website. And that is frpc.podcastpage.io. We have blogs. We have all kinds of information about the podcast itself. We have YouTube videos up there. We have archive podcasts up there. It's a great website. I endorse it immensely. Go ahead and check that out. And remember, the scariest teams this time of year aren't the ones chasing matchups. They're the ones who already know who they are. Something to marinate on. We'll see you back on this feed on Tuesday. Dose.